Hey everyone, back with another voiceover, a little bit of a different process video. These are all GIFs that I did a while ago that were actually like 5 months overdue, but I got them done. You'll see 5 character references up here. I'm currently working on this dragon bird. I ended up only doing 4 of them because by the time I got around to finishing these, Legend up in the corner was already sold. And I didn't know the person, so I didn't want to continue the gift. So, a couple things about these. I really had a lot of fun doing the dragon and the giant dragon bird, because the bird is really relaxing to draw. I haven't drawn them in a very long time, and the dragon is, I just really enjoy doing dragons, I just don't draw them enough. And the 2 quill dogs were a challenge for different reasons. Chaos was a rewarding challenge. Gaia, I really wish I had put some changes into it. But you see me here doing Chaos for the sketch. A lot of erasing, a lot of redrawing, a lot of anatomy things. I believe you saw 2 or 3 different poses I was trying to do before I settled on a frontal maw view. I had a lot of, I believe I had a reference up just on Google that I was looking at of a dog with an open mouth. And I wasn't happy with the anatomy. You can see me trying to flesh it out here into a more refined sketch and really just not digging it, not feeling it. The angle was off. So I went back to my basic shapes, lined some stuff out, did the eye line, the mouth line, and that really helped. That really helped get the ball rolling. I was able to finally flesh out a defined sketch that I was really happy with, because the teeth turned out amazing, and I struggle with canine teeth. So I was really happy to finally get a mouth that looks like a mouth, where all the teeth are in the correct order, and it doesn't look like I just slapped some things on there. It actually makes sense anatomically and stylistically. I was very pleased with that. I also ended up changing the ears, because quill dog ears are huge. And you'll see me doing that right now. Those eyes, I really like the placement, and I love the big chubby cheeks I gave him, and like the tilt to his head. After I got past those initial anatomical struggles, it was a very interesting and rewarding sketch to do and finalize. So next up is the dragon, which, again, a lot of fun with the dragon. It's been so long since I've drawn one, and this one had a lot of challenges. Dragons are very much in my comfort zone, so I tend to push myself with them a lot. This guy had a lot of things I don't usually do. So he had head frills. That was a problem to get the proper angles and make it look like it wasn't just lying flat against his head. And he also had a lot of scale detail. Usually I just allow people to assume that my dragons have scales. I don't define them. And this time, the scales were a big part of the design. So I wanted to get those in the same amount of detail that I do the neck frill and the cheek frills and all of that. So this is sped up, obviously. I went pretty slow in figuring out how to do them, so I would get proper placement, things wouldn't look awkward or strange, and some of the areas still kind of do, because the scale shape changes and the size changes, and I wasn't able to properly convey that without mushing some things up. I also really like that eye. I gave him a little smirk. He has the same smirk he has in his reference, sort of. I went heavily off the reference because it was such a departure from what I usually do with dragons. A lot of fine detail, a lot of small work. It was enjoyable. It was rewarding to have it be completed at the end. Next up is Gaia. Gaia I had a lot of problems with because I got over cocky. In the end, I really do like how they came out, but I wish I had spent a bit more time on the sketch to do things anatomically correct. I wish I had brought up some images on Google and looked at them, because that sketch started out nice. I don't know what happened with the lower jaw, but it's fine. And then here, the snout's a little short, but I do fix that. Now, what I don't fix is some proportional issues that are already present, like where the necks connect, because it's a two-headed, double-winged, flying quill dog. Anatomy is strange on this to begin with, and I probably should have thought about the placement of the necks and the shoulders a little bit more carefully, but I think by the time I got to Gaia, I was confident in what I was doing, and I was on a roll, and I just didn't think to critically look at it and go back and like move those ears forward, or shorten a snout, or widen a cheek. I am really happy with the wings. Wings are something that I was pleased with. And then here, I'm just sectioning off things so that they're not all mushed together. The perspective tool is a really cool tool to use in Krita. I'm using just a vertical and horizontal perspective lines that allow me to draw straight lines in accordance with those. And I was able to grid it out very nicely, even though my sketches were not properly gridded out. You can do this before or after. Now here, just warming up and relaxing with line work for this Dracostrix character. I believe it's based off of a corvid, so crows, jays, that kind of stuff. Very pretty, very nice, really calming and relaxing. I haven't drawn them in a while because I have kind of disappeared from the ARPG scene, which is what Dracostrix is. It's an art roleplay game. So it was nice to get back and do that for my friend. And here, I cut a lot of it out, finding the proper tool to do the line work with for Chaos, because I didn't think you guys would want to look at a cursor jumping back and forth across the screen, but I did finally find a pen that was crisp, but still allowed for my sketchiness. Again, really happy that I took so much time on this one. Again, I think that's why I didn't take as much time with the sketch for Gaia, is because I spent so much time on this one. I'm really happy I did, though, because of how cleanly I was able to do this line work, and how the sketch translated very well into the line work. Like the ears. Very happy with those ears. It adds a little bit of a alertness to this character, who ends up having like a blank stare later on. A lot of fine work, but the detail's kind of more blocky, whereas in this dragon it's a lot of fine detail. Because of the delicacy of the frills and the amount of small scales and the amount of large scales that are on it. I wanted to get that detail in there so it was easier for me to define later. I didn't want to have to worry about defining it with shadows and light or with color. I wanted to be able to have it there from the get-go, from the line work. And that way I would be able to either allow them to fade into the color or stand out, which you'll see later actually does happen with the shading. I took my time here as well. Because of the way the scales are shaped, I didn't want them to look all wonky. And then I also took some time fleshing out those rays on the neck frill, because it has to have some structure to stand up like that, right? Unlike with the cheek frills that can stand up and be manipulated by the large rays, the back one needs to have smaller ones to keep that structure. It's not supposed to be as mobile as the ones on the cheek. Now, with Gaia, we'll see where the failings of the sketch come into the line work. Again, want to reiterate, I really do like how it turned out, but I was limited by my own haste in the sketch. So you can see that snout is rounded. It's kind of odd. Maybe I'm just being overcritical of my stuff. The friend who I did it for really enjoyed it. I wish I could have given her something better for such an amazing character. Like, that year is a little too far away. It just kind of goes to show the importance of being satisfied with your sketch before you move on. Because if you're not satisfied with your sketch, you're going to go into your line work and your color not really being pleased with it and not putting all your effort into it. Or you could be dissatisfied with your sketch and basically end up sketching it all over again when you do your line work. So it's good to be satisfied with it the first time around to avoid just scrapping it. Now, you're not always going to be able to avoid scrapping something. And sometimes you're not going to feel like you have the luxury of being able to scrap something. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid to work with what you have, or start over, or just keep going until it meets your standards. Don't set crazy high standards for yourself. You need to leave room for yourself to grow and be pleased with what you do. That's a big issue that happens with artists, is the good enough standard they set is constantly changing. And it's good to have moving goals, but not if that good enough standard is one of them. If you continue to move that, you're never going to reach it, and you're never going to be satisfied with the work you do. You need to be satisfied with what you do at that moment in time. Like I was with Gaia. Like, maybe it wasn't to the best of my ability, but it was good enough. It's a good piece of artwork. And I was able to be satisfied with it in the end, even if I see its flaws. You've seen this before. I'm blocking out the base colors to then do a clipping layer. What I actually did, though, was I did all these base colors on one layer and then cut and pasted them onto their own layers, so I was able to quickly make 5 clipping groups, and then move on to doing the dragon first. I was really excited to do the dragon, but I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out which brush would work well to get that soft gradient. I think I ended up going with either an acrylic or a kabuki brush. It's not actually called a kabuki brush. It starts with a K, and I just call it a kabuki because that's a word that's stuck in my head from when I was really young. I do believe I ended up using one of my favorite acrylic brushes, though. And I don't have custom brushes because I don't know how to make them, so I just work with what I have, and it's not always the one I need. So I just kind of really worked with that head frill to get these soft gradients with a multitude of brushes. Just kind of experimenting, continuing on, and trying not to get discouraged by my lack of ability or my lack of knowledge when it comes to these digital brushes. I probably wouldn't even have known where to start traditionally. I probably would have resorted to using my fingers. And I think I just stuck with that brush for the rest of it. It was much easier to use on these larger areas to get this kind of red cascading gradients, and then into the frills. Neck frill was really fun to do. It was simpler than everything else I had done, and then I noticed that there were gaps I had left in the frill that I did not account for when I was selecting and doing the base color, so I just went to the base clipping layer and erased them, and that got rid of it on all the ones above it, because all the ones above it are constrained to what is below. And right after this, I was able to switch back to a hard brush and the soft version of the hard brush to do some of these sharper details, which was nice. It was a nice little reprieve, and then I had to go back to some of the other brushes. And in a second, you'll see some missing footage where I finished coloring all the other ones and didn't get it on film. So it's going to skip straight to the shading of this dragon, and you'll see me messing around with some gradients. See, all the other ones are done, and I'm just trying to do a red gradient and then get some glow effects in there. I can't remember the layers that I used. It's probably just overlay, probably some soft or hard light in there, multiply, that kind of stuff. I usually use those to get soft and harsh tones when it comes to shading and lighting. And then this character is just white and black, this bird dragon, so I pushed it with the blue to make it look like an icy winter night. And I'm really happy I did. I usually don't do that. I usually don't like to drown the white color of the character in a brighter color, but it looks really, really cool. And there wasn't too much to do with Chaos because he's a darker character in general, and a lot of that detail was already obscured by the glow from the energy ball. So I just did some lighting effects, some general shading in the mouth, and moved on to Gaia after that, which for some reason is missed. I might have done Gaia first actually to try and get some of the happiness, I guess, back. And I just did some basic shading, or basic backgrounds. And Gaia, I don't know if I forgot to constrain an overlay layer for Gaia's, but she looks like she's glowing, which really makes me happy with the end result. And here we just have some of the stills. I hope you enjoyed things. I hope you took something from my ramblings. Yeah, enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.